Hello, we're back at it. We are continuing with our Coke, right? Remember that we said C is out conclusion. We are not doing to draw conclusions. We're not going to try to draw any conclusions. So this one is out. We are dealing with descriptive statistics, which looks at collecting, organizing, and analyzing. Or we said analyzing is also called summarizing, right? Where you do the calculations and whatever. Organizing, it is when you are putting on those diagrams and whatever. Collection is what we are doing right now. Now, in this video, what we are looking at is the source of the data when you're collecting it. So we are interested in knowing, where did the data come from? Okay, you are collecting data. We want to know how you collected it. Did you just go take it from some other source, or did you lead a research team, or you went yourself into and did a research on your own, collected your own data, and now you're processing it? So that is very important. We want to know what was the source of this data. It helps a lot when we are looking at, is the data biased or not? So when we talk about sources of data, okay, we will be looking about where the origin or where the information is collected for analysis. Where did you collect the data for analysis, right? Now, when we talk about the sources of data, they lead us to two types of data. So data can be split into two depending on its sources. When you are dealing with data in statistics, you can split it into two depending on the source of that data. Either it can be called primary data or secondary data, depending on the source. So these words, primary data, secondary data, are words that are telling you the source of the data. You say to me, source? Yes, the source of the data. Let's see the two things that we use when we are deciding the source of the data for us to call, okay, this is primary data, this is secondary data. So when it's primary data, there are two questions, okay? There are two questions that we are going to be using to ask, right? And the two questions are going to be very easy. I know you can remember them. Number one is, did you have control on how the data was collected? So did the researcher, the person doing the research, did they have control on how the data was collected? The questions, like, did you design the questions? Were you involved in choosing how the data was collected, when it was collected, and from where it was collected, and what was collected? Did you have control? Did the researcher have control? If you had control, then that is one step towards being primary. If there was no control, then it's secondary. For example, let's say that you design questions for a survey, right? If you are the one that designs those questions, then we can give your data as primary. Well, then you have to go on to the next step to see the next step. But the first step will be right. But if you didn't design the questions, then it can't be primary because you had no control. You didn't design the questions. You just, for example, if you use government reports or government researches, you didn't design those government reports. You didn't design the questions they asked. So you didn't have control. So the first is the individual performing the research. Do they have direct control? Okay, directly. Okay, do they directly control how the data was collected? If yes, then we go on to the next. The next would be, was the data originally meant for the individual's study or research? So two things. Did you have control over how the data was collected? And two, was the data being collected for your research? Because maybe you designed the question and ever, but the data was not collected for your research, but for some other research. If you have control and the data was being collected for your research, then it's primary. Okay, let me give you an example. You can have control but not be the one that collects. I know if you read on the internet or whatever, they say, oh, primary data is data you collect yourself. That's not what's in your slides. That's not what you're being taught. We didn't say you have to collect the data yourself. No. Although if you collect your data yourself, then obviously it will be primary. But it's not the only type that is primary. You can design questions and give to a research team. And the research team will go and use your questions to get the data for you, for your research. So two things must happen. If you give to a research team, they must use your methods and your decisions, they use how you say they should collect whatever and stuff, and they should be collecting for you. So did you have direct control, and was the data meant for your research? Remember these questions. Did you have direct control? If yes, we go to the next. Was the data meant for your research? If yes, then it's primary. But if one of these two is not, then it's going to be secondary. For example, if you didn't have control on how the data was collected, even if it was collected for you, if you didn't have control, then it can't be primary. Or for example, if you had control, but the data was not collected for you, then it's not primary. Again, okay? So the data has to be collected for that particular research, the research you're doing, and you must have absolute control, or you must have control on how the data was collected. Okay, so these are the two things. So yes, we said if it's yes on both, okay, then it's going to be primary. But if there is a no on one of them, then it's going to be secondary. Wow. Really? Yes. So these are the criteria we use. Now we'll go and see the definitions of primary data and secondary in the next video. Goodbye for now.